Oh,
They
really?
closed the way, but that doesn't solve the
Oh,
problem.
that was the
When are we going to one agenda meeting?
That's very,
So
it
I
should
think,
be.
I think the next one in June will be this, and then I think starting the first one in July.
I'm sure he did nothing.
I just saw them posted on Facebook.
He's so.
Well, I'm always scared of full rooms in June.
Yeah.
They're retirement, they'll walk out.
Yeah, he is sometimes. He really-
It looked nice.
Never went to anything that's terrible. I found it very, very
Assuming
interesting.
Dane is good to go.
Well, I never said Tim that.
All right, well, let's find out.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Mount Olive Township Council Workshop Meeting for June 9th, 2026. Can you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silent reflection? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by sending timely notice to the Daily Record and the West Morris Reporter, and posting notice on the bulletin board of the municipal building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey. Additional notice has been posted on the township website and sent to those individuals requesting the same. Roll call, please.
Mr. Aaron,
Here?
Mr. Ferrante,
Here.
Mrs. Labow. Here. Ms. Lalama, Mr. Mania, Mr. Ruggiero,
Here.
Mr. Roman.
Here. First item on the agenda is going to be a proclamation. Mr. Mayor?
Yes, first, Mr. President, I'd like to welcome Cameron Atkins. He's from Troop 156. He's going for his Community Merit Badge. So we're glad to have him here tonight. Check it out.
Welcome.
So, proclamation proclaiming the month of June 2026 as Great Outdoors Month. Whereas Mount Olive Township is home to an exceptional natural resources, including parks, trails, ponds, and lake areas, open spaces, and recreational facilities that contribute to the health and happiness and the quality of life of all residents. And whereas Mount Olive Township has been honored with a silver designation from the Mayor's Wellness Campaign and recognized by the state New Jersey Health Care Quality Institute as a healthy town to watch, reflecting the township's strong commitment to community health, active living, and wellness initiatives. And whereas the Mount Olive Township commitment to high-quality outdoor space was further recognized when Flanders Park received the 2025 Excellence in Design Award for its multi-use recreational area from the NJRPA, which includes permanent outdoor exercise equipment available for public use, supporting year-round opportunities for movement and wellness. And whereas spending time outdoors has been shown to improve physical health, reduce stress, strengthen community connections, and support overall well-being. And whereas regular movement, whether walking, biking, hiking, stretching, or playing, help prevent chronic diseases, boost energy, and enhance mental wellness for individuals of all ages. And whereas June offers longer days, warmer weather, and abundant opportunities for residents to enjoy the outdoors safely and responsibly. And whereas Mount Olive Township encourages individuals, families, and small groups to explore local parks, participate outdoor recreation, and incorporate daily movement into their routines. And now, therefore, be it resolved, I, Joe Nicastro, Mayor of Mount Olive Township, do hereby declare June 2026 to be proclaimed Great Outdoors Month throughout Mount Olive Township.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, we're on to presentations. Andrew, you got some employee recognitions?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Council President. I'd like Officer Thomas Cuff to come up first. You can go on this side, Tip, so the camera gets you. Okay. The Township of Mount Olive proudly recognizes Officer Thomas Cuff for 20 years of dedicated service to our community. Officer Cuff joined the Mount Olive Police Department on May 18th, 2006, after graduating from the Morris County Police Academy's 67th Basic Police class as an alternate route recruit. A 2000 graduate of Newton High School, where he distinguished himself as a standout wrestler, Officer Cuff went on to earn a Bachelor of Science degree in Sociology and Criminal Justice from East Stroudsburg University in 2004. Throughout his 2 decades of service, Officer Cuff has demonstrated professionalism, commitment, and dedication to protecting and serving the residents of Mount Olive Township. Currently assigned to the Patrol Division, he continues to exemplify the values and integrity of the Mount Olive Police Department. We extend our sincere appreciation and congratulations to Officer Cuff on his significant milestone, and thank him for his 20 years of outstanding service and soon-to-be retirement as well. So, thank you, Officer Cuff. All right. Next up, we have Alex Tucker. I believe I saw Mr. Tucker as well. Okay. The Township of Mount Olive proudly recognizes Alex Tucker for his 5 years of dedicated service to our community. Alex began his career with the township as a seasonal employee, working in various divisions during the summer months while completing his education. On June 14th, 2021, he was hired as a full-time laborer in the Department of Public Works, where he quickly established himself as a hardworking and dependable member of the team. Through his dedication to professional growth and commitment to public service, Alex gained valuable experience and obtained his commercial driver license Class B certification. In recognition of his skills, work ethic, and contributions to the township, he was promoted to equipment operator in the Roads Division on January 1st of 2025. Alex's progression from seasonal employee to equipment operator reflects his determination, initiative, and commitment to serving the residents of Mount Olive, and we extend our thank you and appreciation for Alex. We have one more. I don't think Dominic Savarese is here. I believe he's working the, what's that? He'll be next. That'll be for retirement. Okay, Dominic's actually working the desk, so I'll still say a few words on the record. The township recognizes Communications Officer Dominic Savarese for 5 years of dedicated service to our community. Dominic began his career with the Mount Olive Police Department as a part-time communications officer on June 5th, 2021, and was appointed to a full-time position on December 11th, 2021. Since joining the department, he has played a vital role in ensuring the safety of our residents by serving as a critical link between the public and emergency responders. As a communications officer, Dominic's professionalism, reliability, and commitment to public service have contributed to the efficient operation of the department and the delivery of emergency services throughout the township. So we extend our appreciation and congratulations to Dominic. Thank you.
My distinct honor to announce some retirements. Unfortunately, it's not my own. Officer Barry, would you mind? Stand right here. Feel they're intimidating. Whereas on July 1st, 2026, police officer Kevin Barrier completed 25 years of service with the Mount Olive Township Department, and as such, on that day, retired. And whereas after graduating from the 57th Basic Police Class with the Morris County Police Academy on May 1st, 2001, police officer Barrier began working with the Township of Mount Olive on July 1st, 2001, and has unselfishly served the citizens of Mount Olive in the state of New Jersey in a manner that is beyond reproach for the last 25 years. And whereas police officer Barrier served in the police department's patrol division and most recently in the support services division traffic unit, where he heavily relied on his extensive traffic training, including at Northwestern University's Crash Investigation 1 and 2, Vehicle Dynamics, Institute of Police Technology and Management, Crash Reconstruction Level 1 and Level 2, pedestrian and bicycle crash investigation, motorcycle crash investigation, Team APC SWAT training, and several additional continuing education classes over his tenure. And whereas Police Officer Barrier was assigned to the Morris County Prosecutor's Office Vehicular Homicide Unit, where he assisted with the investigation and crash reconstruction of fatal and serious bodily injury crashes on a countywide level throughout Morris County. And whereas above and beyond Police Officer Barrier's dedicated years of service, he received many awards, including 2 life-saving awards, 2 meritorious service awards, 3 honorable service awards, a physical fitness award, and an educational achievement award. And whereas he is a caring, compassionate man who has saved more lives than we will ever know through his genuine concern for the people in trouble and his ability to see good in all. And whereas the citizens of Mount Olive Township and the members of Mount Olive Police have been fortunate to have such a dedicated man serve them so well for so long, now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and the Township Council of the Township of Mount Olive that they do hereby congratulate Police Officer Kevin Barrier on his retirement and wish him health, happiness, and fortune in his future endeavors. Officer Cup, you do not look old enough to retire. The resolution of the Council of Township commending Officer Thomas Cuff on his retirement from Mount Olive Township Police Department. Whereas on July 1st, 2026, Police Officer Thomas Cuff completed 20 years of service with the Mount Olive Township Police Department and as such retired on that day. And whereas after graduating from the 67th Basic Police Class of the Morris County Police Academy on June 7th, 2006, Police Officer Cuff began working for the Township of Mount Olive on June 19th, 2006, and has unselfishly served the citizens of Mount Olive, the state of New Jersey, in a manner that is beyond reproach for the last 20 years. And whereas Police Officer Cuff served in the Police Department's Patrol Division throughout his tenure in Mount Olive and received training including Northwestern University's Crash Investigation 1 and additional continuing education classes over his tenure. And whereas above and beyond Police Officer Cuff's dedicated years of service, he received many awards, including Life Saving Award, 2 Grant Corden Awards, 3 Honorable Service Awards, and an Educational Achievement Award for receiving his Bachelor of Science degree from East Stroudsburg University. And whereas he is a caring, compassionate man who has saved more lives than we will ever know through his genuine concern for the people in trouble and his ability to see good in all, and whereas the citizens of Mount Olive Township and the members of the Mount Olive Police Department have been fortunate to have such a dedicated man serve them so well for so long. Now therefore, let it be resolved by the Mayor and the Township Council of Township of Mount Olive that you do hereby congratulate Police Officer Thomas Cuff on his retirement and wish him health, happiness, and fortune in his future endeavors. All right, Chief, I think next item on the agenda is swearing in of some officers.
Just a couple of officers. All right, thanks for having us. I'd like to get these guys up here in front of you, introduce them all. Lucas McCarthy, can you step up? Lucas grew up in the Hackettstown area, graduated from Hackettstown High School in 2020. He attended the County College of Morris from 2020 until 2022, where he earned his associate's degree. He then went on to attend Centenary University from 2022 to 2024, where he earned his bachelor's degree in criminal justice. In the summer of 2025, Lucas applied for one of the open police officer positions, and on November 5th, 2025, he was offered a conditional job offer. Lucas graduated from the Morris County Police Academy's 106th Basic Police Class on June 1st, last Monday, and is currently in our field training program. Tonight, Lucas is here with his mother, Eileen, his sister, Katie, and his brother, Ryan, his girlfriend, Isabel, and his grandparents, Pat and Tony. Come on up.
I, Lucas McCarthy, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially, and justly
perform all the duties of the office of
perform all the duties of the office of
Mount Olive Township Police Officer
Mount Olive Township Police Officer
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
to the best of my abilities, so help me God.
Tony, right?
Yeah, you can do a picture. Kyle Hayden. Kyle Higley grew up in Roxbury Township and graduated from Roxbury High School in 2021. He attended James Madison University, graduating in May of 2025 with his bachelor's degree in sport and recreation management. In the summer of 2025, Kyle applied for one of the open police officer positions, and on November 4th, 2025, he was given a conditional job offer. Kyle graduated from the Morris County Police Academy's 106th Basic Police class on June 1st and is currently in our field training program. Tonight, Kyle is here with his mother Carol, his father Scott, his Aunt Karen, his Uncle Jeff, and his girlfriend Mackenzie. Have them come up.
I will raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Kyle Higley, do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will
Brandon Lessing grew up in Roxbury Township and also graduated from Roxbury High School in 2018. He attended St. John Fisher University from 2018 to 2022, graduating May of 2022 with his bachelor's degree in business management. In the summer of 2025, Brandon applied for one of the open police officer positions, and on November 5th, 2025, he was given a conditional job offer. Brandon graduated from the Morris County Police Academy's 106th Basic Police class on June 1st and is currently in our field training program. Tonight, Brandon is here with his mother, Carla, his aunt, Lori Ann, Uncle Gary, and girlfriend, Kendall.
I, Brandon Lessing, solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and in this state under the authority of the people, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the office of Mount Olive Township Police Officer to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Matthew, come on up. Matthew Bruno grew up in Jefferson Township and graduated from Jefferson High School in 2020. He attended the Sussex County Community College, graduating in August of 2024 with his associate's degree in exercise science. In the summer of 2025, Matthew applied for one of the open police officer positions, and on November 5th, 2025, he was given a conditional job offer. Matthew graduated from the Morris County Police Academy's 106th Basic Police class on June 1st and is currently in our field training program. Tonight, Matthew is here with his mother, Teresa, his father, Carlo, his father's girlfriend, Tina, his sister, Amanda, his brother-in-law, Jimmy, and his sister-in-law, Morgan.
I, Matthew Bruno,
I, Matthew Bruno,
solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly
that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly
perform all the duties of the office of
perform all the duties of the office of
Mount Olive Township Police Officer
Mount Olive Township Police Officer
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
to the best of my abilities, so help me God.
Well, congratulations, everyone, on retiring and on being sworn in. And as my gift to you, you may leave if you wish. We'll take a break for 5 minutes.
There they go.
Good idea.
Carla,
Yeah, there's gonna be a few people here, I see that.
Carla. Carla. Come here. I got a picture that I think is really good. Great job. You like that? I just need your phone number so I can send it. 973-1931. I realized that the way I was sitting, like, that's a good picture. I'll send it. Great to see you. I miss you. Oh, we did, I know. Yes, I believe that's correct. Yeah, there's not too many. Yeah, I know. Thank you, thank you. You're welcome.
Can we do the deer fencing first, because the resident is here, so I'd like, it's a quicker discussion.
Well,
Deer fencing first, because the residents that
We're here.
asked about it are here, so I'd rather get them in and out.
I was thinking the meetings must go quicker when I'm up there. You know, it's gonna
all right, we are back in session. Okay, next item on the agenda is going to be a discussion item on deer fencing.
Thank you,
Andrew.
Council President. Several meetings ago, you may recall, a resident came to the meeting inquiring about introducing some deer fencing legislation. Currently, deer fencing is not listed in our code, so by default, it's not it's a prohibited fence. So we researched several ordinances around Mount Olive. The legal department drafted a simple deer fencing ordinance. It was reviewed by the Land Use Ordinance Committee, and it's on for discussion today before we move to introduction, if that's the direction council wants to go in. But ultimately, we define deer fencing in the code as a fence placed in the rear yard to protect gardens and vegetation from deer or other wildlife. It shall be no more than 8 feet tall and shall be constructed with, I believe it's the common deer fencing material of polypropylene material or a metal core covered in that material. It would follow the same permitting required, similar to a current fence with zoning. And there'd be some maintenance provisions in there as well to make sure that the fence stays maintained and is not unsightly. So that is on for discussion today. I believe the resident did receive a copy and has reviewed it as well. He may have some questions. I know it's not a first reading ordinance, but you may want to seek his input as well.
Well, he is a Steelers fan, but you can still go up. Name and address for the record, unless you're exempt under Daniels Law.
Thank you. Michael Lowry, 146 Stevens Park Road. So first off, I want to thank you for taking attention to this matter and working to put this forward. It's really great to see in a short time, so appreciate that very much. There was just a couple of items that I would put for consideration. The first is regarding fencing material. Polypropylene is a great material, but it's not necessarily the only polymeric material which might be useful. I would recommend polymer material or metal core covered by polymer material, and you can have either polypropylene, PVC, nylon, or equivalent kind of materials be in scope of the legislation that wouldn't need a variance. So that's one for consideration. On the other part about the rear yard, I do know that for our property that works out, but I know across the street there's a property with two frontages where they're on two separate streets, and so I think they zone one as a side yard because enclosed fencing is only permitted in rear and side yards. So provided the proper setbacks are maintained, I would propose considering, broadening to rear and side yards following the setbacks and provisions. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. If you want to, you could stay up there. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Lowry? No? Andrew, is there a reason why we are picking the material and naming only one material?
It was just a common material that we found of what the material, of what the fencing is made of, so I don't think there's any objection to what he's recommending, but I would like to research it a little more.
Because in our normal fencing ordinance, do we specify material, or do we just specify specifications?
I don't believe it's specified whether it's wood, PVC, or chain link.
Yeah, so I mean, I tend to agree with Mr. Lowry, instead of pigeonholing for a specific material.
I think the intent is to make sure that this type of a fence is not abused and is used to permanently set up a temporary fence around the entire yard, as opposed to getting a regular fence installed. So if you use this type of material and make it more of a, not a temporary, but a temporary material, it would potentially avoid that from happening.
And refresh my memory, what's the original purpose for deer fencing? Either you or Mr. Lowry can answer.
The original purpose is for recreational gardening and, that kind of
Okay,
application.
right, so it's to protect, deer from hopping over and eating your garden, okay.
Yes.
So I'm assuming they don't have a regular fence and they just want the
Okay.
fence around the garden.
Do we need to state that?
That what?
So that we're not surrounding a property with an 8-foot?
Well, there will be a zoning permit, so the
Okay.
zoning officer would ensure that it's 8 foot and it's only around, so a survey would be required of where it is going to
And
be
is there,
installed.
in the zoning, I think there's a regulation or restriction of how close to the property line it can be. That would apply to this as well, right? Because that's an existing code. So, okay.
This is strictly prohibited to rear yards.
Rear, he's recommending to modify it to rear and side for corner lots.
In this ordinance, are we going to be envisioning narrowing in the area, like the square footage that the fence? Because I could see somebody maybe wanting, or I gotta guess, do we want to restrict the square footage? So, let's say somebody, I don't know, wants to put a deer fence around let's say 1,000 square feet. Are we gonna have an issue with that?
That's a policy decision.
I guess I'm asking the rest of the council, do we want to limit, because right now, if I understand correctly, there is no limit. So if you have a good enough sized yards, you can do half your yard in deer fencing. Am I correct in understanding that is a possibility?
Seems to be possible.
If they want a garden, maybe, yeah, they have to have a garden, but, yeah, correct.
So, how does the rest of the council feel about limiting the square footage? And Mr. Lowry, if you want to input into would that be something that would interfere with your intentions?
I don't think it would interfere. I do want to just also note that we drive by a lot of farmland and agricultural areas that might want to take advantage of the ability to have the higher fence that would not just be residential. Because there are farm operations, I've seen them planting, new trees and stuff. So it's perhaps something to consider.
In the discussion of this ordinance in the, was this something like that was raised up, or
The size of the garden was not discussed. No, we
Is
we
that-
didn't see that anywhere.
would that be something we would want to reach out to, the people that do the plots right over on,
The Land Conservancy?
yeah, I don't know, I mean, I generally don't necessarily have an opposition to limiting the size, but I could see where a resident might get creative. But I also see your point where somebody who has a legitimate farm might want to put that up, and, is that something that we want to, encourage, or should we discourage?
I don't believe I believe farming might not be a part of this ordinance. I believe it's only for
So we can just limit it to
residential. I believe it's only
residential?
residential areas, so those would most likely not be in this area.
So I guess on the size, is this something that the rest of council feels like we should not address now, and if it gets abused, address it later?
Well, Mr. President, I think it's a great advice, and as to the type of deer fencing and all that stuff, and if the gentleman wishes to use that in his backyard, then so be it. Quite frankly, I think it's an infringement from homeowners enjoying their yards, to pass such a zoning, especially if it's only in their backyard, so I would not be in favor of this.
Of limiting the size, correct?
Just the fence in
I think he's
general.
saying in general.
In general.
But they want the fence to protect the vegetation.
Put a fence around your garden, right?
No, you can't.
Right, I think that's the issue, that currently, right now, I guess the understanding is if it's not listed in the code, it's by default not allowed.
Correct, so we're trying to correct that.
Right.
So we're correcting an error so that residents can do it. We're just going to now put limitations, 8-foot height being the maximum height. I would probably remove the language on the material, something that, allows the resident. I do have an issue, however, on a property that has two frontage having something, because now we're impacting neighbors in the way of, someone might consider an eyesore.
This is for side and back only, right?
The way it's written now, it would allow it for the rear yard
Right.
only,
And we're asking for the side, you were questioning the side and the rear, not the front.
for corner lots.
So,
For corner
so I would keep it to the rear.
You know,
I'm only concerned that it's not, we're not creating a permanent structure. So it's a seasonal permit, right?
This would be a
I don't
permanent
think-
structure.
I don't think a garden fence is a permanent
It's a deer
structure.
fence.
Yeah,
It's a garden
it's gonna
fence.
stay up it's gonna stay up
All year
365.
We're defining the fence, we're defining the height, right? We say over 8 feet. If I have an enclosed backyard and I'm just concerned about rabbits, I'm gonna put a 2-foot fence up, right? I mean, who would that bother? There's nobody, I need a permit for a 2-foot fence, or I need permission to put a 2-foot fence around my vegetables. I mean, to me, that's an infringement on homeowners. That's
But
the
they
way I
can't
see it.
do it now. You can't put up an 8-foot fence around your garden to keep the deer out.
And Andrew, to Mr.
But I think
Ruggiero's
it's a
point,
I think it's temporary.
to Mr. Ruggiero's point, would a resident be allowed to put a 2-foot fence around his cabbage patch?
It's not in the code.
It's not.
For me, polypropylene it's a temporary material. It's not a permanent. A garden isn't a permanent
I'm sorry, I didn't
enclosure.
get through.
I just think it's a seasonal thing. I just see these things, when they go up, if they're not maintained, it becomes an eyesore in the neighborhood.
Listen, the reality
It's an
is,
8-foot tall
when you drive around town, you see them already. Some people have put them in their front yards. We're trying, the goal is, not to have it in the front, you know, to keep it more of a, you know, not an unsightly property, and just have it in the back, and that's it.
We already have an ordinance for fence in the front yard, correct?
Correct.
You also, I think when you first presented it, you talked about fencing also going underground to keep animals from digging under. Did you mention that, or am I just
There are options there to bury hardware cloth or to add like a dig barrier on the perimeter, and those kinds of things do exist. It's like an overlay to the material. There are gophers and all kinds of groundhogs and squirrels. And
It's going 8 feet up, it's going 2 feet down, I can tell you that.
Mr. Lauer, would you envision a fence that is up all year round?
yes, the materials and such that we were scoping in the research were, you know, multi-$1,000, you know, they're not like a temporary sort of thing. It'd be like seasonal use maybe, but kind of a permanent raised bed garden interior, you know. The metal cover with polymer, you know, is a more permanent kind of material.
Yes, Ms. Leibel.
Andrew,
Yes, I'm just
if
reading the
somebody
ordinance.
has a pool, in ground or above ground, are they required to have a fence?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to say, is this like the same type of a thing, or the pool, the fence when you have a pool is for safety reasons and that kind of a deal?
Right.
But, I mean, I don't know what the requirements or, you know, restrictions are to do that. It's almost the fence, it's like 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, so I don't know. Is there a requirement on what kind of fence to put up
For a
around
pool,
your
yeah.
yard?
For a pool, there is.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, but I'm asking, I know that, but what type? Like, this one is specifically a type.
It's a height, I believe, if I remember, it's a
8
height.
feet. Yeah,
It has to be a certain height.
yeah, it has to be a certain
For-
height.
You're talking about a
kids,
pool
for children.
fence.
Yeah,
A pool, yes,
Yeah, pool fence has a minimum height.
yes,
The opening in there has to be a certain maximum opening.
right.
It's basically to discourage kids from climbing over, small kids from climbing
Well,
over.
kids just coming in and drowning, you know, like just walking in from the neighborhood.
Correct.
But, so my question is, well, I wouldn't want a fence in my backyard to keep the deer out because I like to look at them, but I can understand where if it's a problem and they're eating all of your, you know, your vegetation and all that, it becomes an issue.
You know, I'm inclined to go along with Mr. Ruggiero's sentiment of like, it's your backyard. You should be allowed to do what you want for the most part, as long as it doesn't impact your resident. Front yard becomes a different story.
Right.
Now,
I have a question.
yes, Mr. Ruggiero.
Over here it says temporary deer fence. How do we define a temporary deer fence from a permanent deer
That's why I
fence? When it's an 8-foot high structure, that means the posts are going in the ground at least 2-3 feet, no, more than 2 feet, at least 3-4 feet, right? So how does that become a temporary structure?
It just says temporary deer fence, a square mesh or hexagonal mesh fence with a mesh size of approximately 2 inches by 2 inches, used to protect gardens, vegetation, and yards from deer or other wildlife. So if that's what it does, it's a temporary deer fence.
I agree with Ralph. Just let it be and do what you want in your backyard.
Yeah, personally, I have to agree with Mr. Ruggiero as well. We haven't had an issue with it if someone puts up a fence. I've had gardens in my yard, I put fences up. I mean, unless you get a complaint from a neighbor, there's really no reason to go in anybody's yard to see what they're doing,
Right.
personally. If he wants to put up a fence in his yard to do his garden, unless a neighbor's gonna complain, just like we have with our chickens and all, when people complain when they're doing something, if it's there. I don't know if it's really necessary to start, you have to have a fence around your house, obviously you need a permit. But I don't know if you're just doing a garden, and personally, I don't know if that's something we really need to. Is it in a lot of towns that you find, or is it just a few?
More rural towns
More
around
rural
here,
towns,
yeah,
right,
where
that have it?
people like to garden.
I mean,
Mr. Larry, you wanted to put it in the rear of your property, correct?
Yes.
What was the impetus that brought you before? Were you hit by, you went to go get a permit and you were told no?
We were researching and, new homeowners, so we want to make sure we're doing everything by the book and whatnot. And so we looked into the requirements and there's a zoning permit, so I went to the zoning office and asked them about it and, they directed me to the 6-foot maximum and sort of proposed the alternative that we could look to add something.
Andrew, in this situation, if he were to just put up his deer fence and whatever material he had wanted, and would that be something that would automatically alert a zoning officer, or if a neighbor complained for whatever reason, would he be issued a violation?
Most violations are complaint driven. We're not driving around looking for deer fencing in backyards.
Correct.
So,
Even the ones that have current deer fencing in their front yards, we're letting them garden and, if their neighbor were to complain, then we'd have to enforce and follow the code, but we're not, dropping the hammer on gardening.
so it is my feeling that we move on. Is that what the feeling I'm getting? Does anybody have any objection to just moving on and tabling this? All right.
So what do we tell our resident? Go ahead and put your fence up?
I'm not telling him
Not
that.
telling anything. You can do whatever.
We are not telling anybody that.
We're not telling anybody
I
anything.
commend him for doing
All I could
the
say is that
homework with
they're,
kids.
anything that's not in the code, you can't get a permit for. So whether he does it or not, it's up to him.
Up to the residents.
That's my direction.
But he's not doing anything, right? If he put it up, there's no permit that he can apply
There's no
for.
permit, right.
There's no permit.
And if someone complains about it,
Then
then.
you deal with it.
then you deal with it. He's trying to do the right thing.
Right, he was
Individually,
trying to,
not-
correct, came forward.
So it sounds, I'm not saying that, I'll let council amend my words, that when you do get something comes out of your garden, just give your neighbor a couple of, from your harvest, and I think you'll be all right. Does anyone have any other questions or comments on this draft ordinance?
It's just a discussion, Mr. President, right?
Yes, this is just for
There's-
discussion
there's-
purposes only.
There's no need to table it, I guess officially.
He has a question in the front row.
For the purpose of open dialogue, you may come up. Name and address for the record.
Will Hund, 7 Kennedy Drive. So, this gentleman's done his research and whatnot, and what I just heard his advice is, put it up until someone complains. So he spends thousands of dollars putting up this 8-foot high deer fence, and I call and complain, or is it legal? Because we decided we're gonna bury our heads in the sand and not really address the issues. Some of the other things too, it sounded like your primary concern was for vegetable gardens and temporary, okay. But the deer devour, this winter was a rough winter, lots of shrubs in my yard, that's what I'm familiar with. And so if I were to put up that 8-foot fence, because 6 foot, that's where I think where your problem was, 6 foot, they laugh at, the deer jump right over it. So 8 foot would be a deterrent, but it wouldn't be for my vegetable garden, it would be for the landscape in the yard, in the rear yard. So it's really not temporary, I would leave it up all the time, and so that's that. And then when you also mentioned, as far as an eyesore and complaints or non-complaints, I've been in numerous meetings and people complained about garbage. And on Sand Shore Road, there was a Bagster. Are you familiar with the Bagster? What a Bagster is?
Yep.
Next to the street, full of trash for over a year. Nothing was done. I see TVs and other trash out on the street, by the street, on the travels that I take, very limited to my house. They're out there for months and months and months. And why is that allowed?
Well, I would say that those items are not allowed. It's already prohibited, and the fact that it's still there would probably raise the concern that wasn't made aware to the township. Am I correct in that assessment, Andrew?
Could be, or
Well-
they might have gotten some notice and, you know, we give them an opportunity to fix it.
Well, that's why you're relying on us to complain. Now, you just swore in 4 new officers. They don't make patrols. They don't see these things. Your sanitation, we talked about roads in the past too. We've got this new system from the trucks that are gonna tell us where the roads are defective and whatnot. I mean, don't those drivers drive on the roads? Don't they feel the potholes as they drive by? That they don't take an initiative to say, hey, that Baxter dumpster of garbage has been there for a year. Maybe we should send them a letter, maybe we should fine them, maybe we should enforce the ordinance. So that's, like, to pick and choose what you decide to enforce and what you decide to let go, I think is unfair rather. When you talk about the discretion on who gets to do things and who doesn't, or who complains the loudest. And if that's what it's up to, just you have to complain, then what you should take this, as this councilman said, don't have the law at all, don't have the ordinance at all. If you're not going to enforce it until a neighbor complains, why have it? That's really my own point.
Well, I appreciate your input, but unfortunately, I think that it does happen that there is a lot of our ordinances, laws that we have in effect, unless you're gonna have a police state, you know, take speeding, for instance. You don't get ticketed until an officer actually catches you and takes the initiative to pull you over.
So-
Meanwhile, there's a bunch of people, so and obviously, speeding is a safety issue that affects all residents, whether the ones that are violating or not violating. I think in this instance, and to Mr. Ruggiero's point, if somebody's got an acre of property and decides to put up a fence around his vegetable garden, who is harmed? And I think that's kind of the issue that I'm feeling from this governing body is, who is actually harmed?
Well, I'm in agreement with you on that, but if you don't pass the legislation, or whatever we call it here, and this gentleman puts his fence up, and his neighbor, I don't like that color that he put up, and he calls, then he's out. So, just by saying, oh, we're not gonna really address it today, until someone complains about it tomorrow.
I guess
I
there's a
don't think
question.
anybody said we're not gonna address it today until somebody complains about tomorrow.
No, I think you did, you gave him the nod.
We pretty much addressed it, right? I addressed it,
Yes.
and I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good legislation.
I would tend to agree with you.
But that doesn't limit the property owner from doing it, right? It's just not. It's not something that we create an ordinance around.
If somebody comes up
It's-
and complains, we might feel the same way.
Some of my neighbors might not like my hot pink siding, but I enjoy it.
Correct.
Well, it is June.
Purple trim.
And so,
I think,
you know,
Will,
back to
the
police thing
challenge
then.
is,
Then why do we have the statutes that, I don't know how many inches thick, if we decide we're just, well, we're not gonna enforce them until,
Well, this, to your point, this is adding another millimeter to that statute. I think,
No,
you know,
you think-
I
you
think it's
could-
something a little bit different when you start legislating, okay, for a deer fence, you can only have X, Y, and Z. Versus, yeah, deer fencing is not addressed, so it's a little bit of, might be considered ambiguous, correct me if I'm wrong, versus something that you've already outlined, that you said you have to have this, this, and this, and you're limited to this. And now we pigeonhole the resident that may be sitting on 4 or 5
Well,
acres.
isn't there a way to just, you know, like, say you're allowed to do it without the particulars? You know, a couple of months back, there was an ordinance passed about feeding the wild animals, and I think it pertained to like one house.
Right, and in that situation, it was, again, resident complaint driven, and there were no other mechanism in which case to, protect this resident from being harmed by a neighbor. So because his avenues were not available to him, that's why that ordinance became about. This is not the case in this situation.
Well, in this particular situation, but in general, getting back to that Baxter, you said no one's harmed. It's a
I know, I
cemetery. It's a-
disagree in that no one's harmed. I don't recall the Baxter situation and whether that resident or had been notified or fined. I am not aware of it, but it's already something in the ordinance that would address that issue. It's a problem.
But that's my point, though. It's in the
Again, I
ordinance,
don't
but
know,
there's
and
no
I would
enforcement.
recommend if that Baxter's still there to give
Oh, it was
the
just
address.
removed 2 weeks ago.
Well, good, maybe, so it finally worked.
Well,
It took a long time, but it finally
took a
worked.
long time. It should take one pass of the sanitation truck, okay, it was there. They come back next week, it's still there.
I'm generally not a fan of having our employees act as surveillance for this, generally not a fan. But in their duties, if they do see something that is potentially harmful to the rest of the residents, I would encourage them to address it, but not,
So then if it's only the one residence, if I were to find out where you live, and then I complain, again, he's gonna be out.
it may or may not.
Well, okay, so I know this is up for discussion, and this is, interpretation, and what may or may not. So then should he put up his fence or not put up his fence? Why can't we get a clear-cut answer?
Mr. Mayor?
Well, I'm gonna go back and listen a minute, because it makes sense. When we were talking, I think it was getting a little too much in the weeds with what size and acres and everything else became the problem. I think what they're saying here, the bottom line is, do we want to allow them to have fences? If we do, it's 8 feet high and you can use X amount of material, which I think is okay for the material. And then he has the okay to do it. So as this gentleman's saying, what happens if he puts it up and I don't like it, and now he spent $8,000 to put this up, and I go and complain? He's gonna have to take it down. And he's just looking for an answer, which is right. Being a new homeowner is trying to do the right thing, and I originally thought maybe that's the right answer, but I think we were just getting too much into it. It's a matter of, if you own the property, we're helping them. If you want to put up a deer fence, put it up, but it's got, 8 feet is the limit, and it's gotta be this type of material, because that's the material we request. Other than that. In the rear. We don't really have to dictate how it's size, how big, where you want it. We'll deal with that. If someone complains that he does his whole yard, well, someone's gonna complain and say there's an 8-foot fence up going around the house. We're gonna go look at it, and that's against the ordinance. So to me, it's just, you're protecting the residents by saying yes or no. Either you want them to have deer fence or you don't. If we don't, then you just leave it, because then it's a problem for somebody that puts it in, or it could be. But if we do, they want them to protect their garden, just pass an ordinance that says, yes, you can have a deer fence 8 feet tall and use the material that's here. Don't put any huge requirements. Back of the house is fine, but I wouldn't get into too many things with it. I think we were starting to get into too much. If they have an acre and a half, well, I might have an acre, I want to do a half an acre garden. Well, that's my prerogative on my property.
I would say, though, if somebody, it's always the case, somebody has this stuff, or a couple people, and then the new legislation comes in, we don't run around town and make them take it down.
No, but that's the point.
Yeah.
If they come in and complain, then what happens to this poor guy who spent $5,000 or whatever on his deer fence, and the
But we're not
planning
gonna-
board says, sorry, it's not in the ordinance, you don't have a law, you have to take it down.
Can't we grandfather what's in there and it becomes effective when the legislation?
Yeah, but
is
we're not
passed?
looking to ban it.
It-
We're just looking to approve
Yeah.
that they can have a deer fence. It's different if we were banning it,
Yeah.
I would think. We're just saying, hey, it's okay, it's your property, you want to put up a fence, follow these guidelines very simply, without overcomplicating it, because we shouldn't interfere too much with the homeowners. I agree with that part.
Yeah.
I don't want to burden the homeowner and say you got to measure out 10 by 10 and that's all you can have. I don't know, that's my opinion on it. I don't think you need to go too deep into it. It's just either we want him, it's okay to have a garden covered with a deer fence or not, and that's all he's looking for. Because he doesn't want to spend the money and have a problem down the road, which I don't blame him. Because new people can come in, somebody can come out, and before you know it, you got to take it down, and you spent a lot of money. So that's really what he's talking about, and
They are selling the house next door, so
you don't know who you're gonna get. And we don't want to put you in a position to say, and we shouldn't be saying, just do what you want to do.
Well, I think one of the issues of this ordinance is temporary deer fence. So I see the word temporary.
Right, that could be a problem, but
Being an issue.
does it have to say
I
temporary?
mean,
Well, it doesn't say it has to come down, it's just.
Just says temporary, doesn't say it has to come down, but we consider it temporary, but not,
Well, there's nothing permanent.
right, there's nothing permanent.
Nothing.
Everything can come down, any fence can come down at any time. But I don't want to over-restrict the homeowners on that, like Mr. Ruggiero is saying. It's not, I don't think it's necessary to put too much of a burden on them. But that's my opinion, I don't vote for it.
Okay, I got my piece.
Does anyone from council want to have any other further comments or questions? No. So, Mr. Aaron?
I think, I'm gonna agree with the mayor on this one. I think that if it's going, we have somebody who wants something to happen, let's put it in a way that we can help him move forward, but also protects town. I think we have to add to this, that it's backyard, 8-foot backyard only. It has to surround a garden, and we need to take temporary out.
I take a step to the garden.
See, yeah, I would caution, yeah.
Valuable and expensive shrubs.
True.
That I want to protect.
I think this is where, the request is for a garden. If we make it everything, I'm gonna be in opposition. I don't wanna see 8-foot fence all over the town, 8-foot fence, sorry, all over town. If he wants, around a garden has a very specific purpose and a usefulness to it.
Well, then I
I'm
would
not
make
worried
the
about the
request-
shrubs.
I would make the request for my shrubs. Have you gone to Donaldson's and bought plants and shrubs?
See, well, this is the vortex you wind up in. And to Mr. Rogero's point, when you start, it's hard to stop,
Yes.
right? Sometimes it's better to let it go and let the property owner do it. If there's a complaint, then you can follow up on the complaint. It's like the feeding in the backyard.
Yeah.
As soon as you start, everybody, 30,000 residents are gonna come in here, and everybody's gonna say, well, I want it to be purple. I want it to be blue. I want 2-inch mesh. That's not small enough, because the critters are gonna get in. So you wind up legislating until you can't legislate again. Sometimes you have to trust that neighbors can be neighbors, and that, if there's a complaint, the neighbors are gonna get together and work it out. That's a community, right? That's not proper, that's where people can come together and talk. But you just prove the point of trying to move it forward. In my effort to move it forward with the mayor, you created another nuance
Oh, I
to
think
it that creates a complexity. Now we gotta consider all the situations. I got a bush, I got a tree, I got a statue I wanna protect, all right, now we're back to,
You're the
okay,
one who
put your
narrowed it
fence
to
up.
the vegetable garden.
Yeah, because that's what the request is by the person who
So
came
what,
forward.
then what needs to be done to make a request about other pieces of property? Can I do that at this time?
Yeah, unfortunately, Mr. Aaron, I would tend to agree that I think the less restrictive, the better, I feel.
That's
So
what I was
if-
trying
Right,
to
but
say,
yet,
if
but
you
not,
wanna do
res-
it, here's the
right, but,
conditions you can do it under.
right, but less restrictive as far as, we got the height, we got the location, and I would be less inclined to even decide the material. I mean, we need to pigeonhole the material.
Is temporary because of the code that's in place right now, the word temporary because of the code with regarding property fencing?
I'd have to refer back to legal and Jonathan who drafted it. I'm not sure where that term came from.
Then, we're not looking to move this forward right now, so let's get a couple of amendments.
Well,
open it up a little bit more, and
kinda
then-
need,
I think
a
we've discussed
consensus
it.
as to which direction to go with. Do we want, as, less restrictive as possible? So is it, I'm inclined to pretty much just go with the 8-foot rear yard. Not necessarily define what you're enclosing, because to the resident's point, maybe it's his brush. Maybe I want to put one around my pond because there's a blue heron that keeps wanting to go in there to grab one of my koi. I could see somebody coming up with that. It'll take away from looking at the pond, but. So, that's my inclination. Mr. Fronte, do you have any opinion?
I would just leave it towards garden.
Okay,
It doesn't have to be a vegetable garden, just a garden.
just the word garden?
Yep.
Ms. Laybell?
I don't like any homeowner being restricted to do anything they want. So I'm inclined to just let it go.
Mr. Ruggiero?
Ditto.
And
I'm
Mr.
inclined
Aaron?
to, let it go.
Mr. Aaron, if we were to go move forward, what are the requirements you would want?
I'm fine, 8-foot, backyard. It doesn't have to be around the garden. I would like to have our guys down the hall take a look at it and make sure it doesn't conflict with other
Well, I
fencing
think what
code
you
that
may
we're
run
not-
into in the future, the mayor just whispered in my ear, you're gonna end up people now coming for a permit for an 8-foot normal fence for their backyard, and they're gonna say this is deer fencing. And now we have applications for 8-foot backyard fences around the entire yard. So we're trying to avoid that.
That's why I was
Avoid
trying to
that.
say garden.
Right. No,
I
I
had a
know.
feeling that discussion was gonna come up, because it's gonna interfere with other fencing
Is there a
code
color?
that exists in the book. We're gonna create another whole series of codes, and they're gonna
Is there
surround the whole property
color
with,
that
the
you
whole
have to
backyard's
have?
gonna have 8-foot deer fencing on it.
Is there a color? Like a red fence, green
No,
fence?
we did put color. You know, when you Google deer fencing, there's only a few manufactured, you know, it's a standard deer fencing, you know,
Specific.
it's sold specific for
Yeah,
deer fencing,
specifically
so they don't sell pink deer fencing.
Bright orange, maybe.
Right, and we didn't put orange
You
in
have
here.
it for gardening. That was-
So,
For that reason.
someone might complain about a bright orange deer fence in someone's backyard.
Oh,
You know,
yeah,
so
that's
that's why
true.
we did limit color.
Okay.
So there are reasons why things are put into this ordinance.
You know, actually, you know what I think I would probably want from administration is the items that you outlined in their color material, maybe an email indicating why, you know, like,
It's there, black, brown, and green to harmonize with the surrounding landscape of the area and to reduce visible impact on surrounding properties. So we've thought about that. So you're gonna have a construction fence in someone's
Yeah,
backyard.
right,
as a-
it'll be orange.
Right.
Yeah, you don't want that. And it was specifically for gardens at this point. I understand what the other gentleman's saying, but we're talking about gardens. If somebody has a flower garden, it's around their flower garden, but it's a garden. Otherwise, we do risk the whole yard, because I got bushes around my whole yard. I want to protect them all. Now I got an 8-foot fence going around the entire house, which is not what we want.
all right, so it sounds like 8-foot rear yard protecting a garden.
A garden, whether you have a flower garden, whatever garden you have, it's your garden,
Or a bush garden.
whatever it's gonna be. That's the best way to put it, personally, but
So we got material in place, we got color in place,
size,
and we have height, location, material,
that's
and,
all.
what it's protecting.
I don't think you need much more.
I'm assuming everybody's okay with that?
Let's take a look at it.
So we'll present the new draft
Okay.
with a little bit more fine tuning.
This took almost as long as the budget.
Yeah, really. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your input. Okay, next item up for discussion is potential new revenue, cost-saving measures and
Should have done this
service.
one first, jeez. All right. So attached in your packet is a pretty lengthy memo. As we know, we just went through a very challenging 2026 budget cycle. We anticipate future budget cycles to be just as stressful on our finances, and we're trying to limit the impact on the taxpayer, and we also realize that our fund balance and ratables are stabilizing, so we're looking for alternate ways of bringing in new revenue, potentially changing some of our existing fees that we collect. So we worked with all the departments. I had them review all of their current, their major fees that they collect, and to do some research and analysis and compare with other surrounding towns, and to also see if, you know, what is the true cost of issuing these permits. So we've come up with a list of recommendations by department. My memo is first, and then each of the department's memo is behind that. So I'd like to just summarize each of the departments, one by one. I'll stop if there's any questions. And then if we have to get into the specifics, we could do that. Does that sound like a plan?
Yep.
Okay. So for administration, we don't issue any permits per se, but the township does, or the administration does control the public property, especially those that aren't on the open space inventory. So we are in discussions with marketing 3 pieces of property, one being a commercial property on Route 46. The second property is on Whippoorwill Road, which we are positioning for an auction for single-family residential use, and also the Pondview property has also been a property that we've been working on for the last couple of years to sell those properties off and to bring in revenue. So the total sale of those properties could be about $100,000 in one-time revenue, and then taxes moving forward, because they would then become
100,000 or 800,000?
800,000.
It sounds like one.
Sorry, 800,000 one-time
I was ready to buy them all.
revenue. And then obviously the upgradables moving forward after that. So those 3 properties are already in the works, but once we get closer to some decisions, there may be some council action that needs to be taken. Something that I apologize, after I sent this memo out, something else that we're working on, which I didn't include, is potentially allowing cannabis manufacturing and warehousing in the international zone as well. So I know-
Have we been approached by anybody?
we have been approached. They've asked if we allow it, so we don't have the ordinance now in place to allow it. So that is something that we're working with legal to draft something similar to what we did for retail, but on the manufacturing, wholesaling. I think there's distribution, a few other licenses that are allowed in the industrial zone. So that is something to bring in additional tax revenue in the future. The municipal clerk's office, they issue a handful of permits as well. They're recommending looking at increasing the fees for ABC licensing, which are the liquor licenses in town, increasing fees for peddler and solicitor permits, having a matching games of chance application, which are your bingo and raffles that residents and nonprofits apply for, increasing rates for taxi and limousine licenses. And we've discussed this in the past, notary services. Currently, we provide that service for free. I believe you're able to charge a couple bucks per notary. We do thousands of notaries, and it is time-consuming. So that is another option for increasing revenue. Also, something that the council introduced several years ago at the direction of the state was to introduce the business registration certificate procedure. If you all recall, that was mandated by the state. We did pass the model ordinance, which requires businesses to register and prove their liability insurance. But the direction at the time was, we're not gonna collect the fee, and it's gonna be up to the businesses to, leave it upon themselves to register. If we started to actively enforce that, we can bring in about $30,000 in additional revenue if all those changes are made.
If all the changes are
If all the
made.
changes, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what I read on these licenses and fees is, if it's more, you got lit businesses here that we're adding an additional burden and more regulation. And anytime you increase cost or burden, all you're doing is passing it on to the end user. So, of all the things so far, this seems the least palatable.
It's half the projection, Mr. President. If it's 30,000, they're projecting 15 would come from businesses, so.
Right, 15 business, and then 15, if we increase ABC licenses, start charging notary, the solicitor's permit, we could increase. And again, we looked at what other towns are doing, and we're offering the same service, just at a extreme discount. So if we want to be competitive, and we also wanted to cover our costs.
Yeah, I understand the covering our costs, which is why the notary issue, I don't necessarily have an issue with. It's the other thing, we're increasing the fee. It's not like the cost is increased on us to provide that service. All right, you're correct.
I think when we go through all these, we're trying to bring the cost up to reflect the current amount of work needed to process those applications. You can't just have an administrative fee with an arbitrary number of $1,000 to issue a garage sale permit. It has to be a direct correlation with the paper you're using, the time you're using. So we took that into consideration with all these recommendations. So yes, they are increasing, but we feel they're justifying the work needed to provide that service.
How does business registration is for all businesses to have to pay a fee to have a business in town?
What is the fee? Do we know?
Is that what that?
I printed out.
I'm misunderstanding that, because that doesn't exist today.
The ordinance does exist. We were required by the state to adopt the ordinance, and we complied with that.
Okay.
We
So
haven't.
we're doing it today.
We are not.
Enforcing it.
We are not enforcing it.
We also didn't put a fine, if I remember.
Correct. We removed the fine, but there was a $25 application fee. They are I printed out the ordinance, I should have attached it, I apologize. The owner of a business or the owner of a rental unit or units other than multifamily homes are required to maintain liability insurance and fill out an application and prove that to the municipality every year. Why the state did that, I don't know.
I mean,
But-
if you're a business, you have to register with the state now anyway.
So there's an opportunity there. Again, these are just recommendations. All of them pretty much require council action through legislation to increase, so it will be ultimately up to the governing body. Actually, except for the next one, Health Department. We have a Board of Health. Derek is also recommending these increases to the Board of Health, which will consider these. But he looked at fees specific to sewage disposal system permits, well permits, retail food establishment and temporary events, specialized health licenses, and multi-dwelling inspections. And if those increases are approved, that could be an additional $80,000 in additional new revenue for the township. Public Works, a few items in the Public Works Department. And they all actually go into the sanitation. So we have a separate sanitation utility. All these fees go into that sanitation utility. Currently, we offer a dumpster for a 2-week period. We're charging $260 per dumpster. Based on some comparative rates, we feel that we could increase that and still be fair and bring in additional revenue.
As someone who has used that service, I'm okay with you raising it.
I think that's a great service that we offer residents.
There's a
to-
reason why I chose the township dumpster service.
Right. Something else that we offer, which I think is a great service, and I don't see that often in other towns, is our chipping service. Several years ago, we did modify it. It used to be year-round, and it was just unmanageable to handle the amount of requests and schedule. So we did, a few years ago, modify it to just be during a specific time period to cover spring cleanup. Obviously, if it's an emergency and a tree comes down, that's different. But it was really just geared to handle spring cleaning. Last year, we did 188 calls for chipper service. So we would, we can treat this similar to a bulk item pickup. And if you want chipping picked up, you come in, or we could, have an online process, but you pay a $25 fee and we put you on the schedule. So based on the amount of time and how much work is required, we could bring in additional revenue in that regard. Another item that we do every year, which is a big drain on resources and expenses, is the annual bulk pickup service. And we still want to offer it to the public, just modify the way we do it. The way we're currently doing it, where it's one complete week, it's a burden with overtime and vehicle maintenance, and it's costly doing it the way we are doing it. So what we would like to do is change it to, everyone still gets 3 free items, come in, get a sticker for it, we'll keep track of the stickers that we're giving out, and we'll just put you into the general rotation of pickup, and once you hit your 3, then you start paying it. Because in reality, most people don't abide by the 3-rule policy, but we pick up anyway, and there's a significant cost to dispose of that material. The sanitation utility is getting strained. We increased rates this year. Surplus is running low in the sanitation utility as well, so, we're looking at ways to reduce cost in the sanitation utility.
What is the actual, you said overtime cost to equipment? Is that,
So we just did it in April. Overtime was about $20,000. The removal of bulk was about $20,000. And then don't forget, by doing it for free, we're not bringing in the revenue of selling the tickets. That's about another 20. So net, that program costs about $60,000 that we're offering for free. Okay, so those are 3 items in Public Works. Next is recreation, and this is another one that we've talked about for many years, is implementing either a daily fee or a seasonal pass for the splash pad. The splash pad on average is running about $65,000 a year to have staff there to keep track of everything, for the chemicals, for the maintenance, and, you know, it should really be treated no different than a pool facility. So right now, everyone, residents, non-residents, it's no fee to anyone. It's part of the Green Acres program, but Green Acres law does allow to charge a fee, as well as it's proportionate to residents and non-residents. So the recreation did come up with a fee schedule, and we're thinking we could generate about 90% of the true cost to run the operation of the splash pad.
And what would be the fee for residents?
$50 per child.
So there's a seasonal fee.
Maintenance for year.
So the recommendation from the Recreation Department is for residents per child, 50 for the season, non-residents, 75 per child, and a daily admission of $2 per child for children 3 to 17, non-residents, $4, children 2 and under are free. It's hard to project. We don't know if people would buy a seasonal or just pay daily. You know, we have numbers, but we don't know if they come twice a week or once a year.
Was there has there been a census taken as to the percentage of residents and non-residents that use the splash pad?
We believe, yeah, I think it's in her memo,
It's in the back.
or maybe not.
7,000 non-resident, 6,000 resident. 7,400 non-resident, 55% non-resident usage and resident usage.
So we think there are more non-residents than residents using it.
A few years ago, I brought up the very unpopular opinion of getting rid of the splash pad. And at that time, I was told that the annual cost was $40,000 a year. That feels like it was probably 4 years ago. We're now at $65,000. I'm assuming those expenses are only going to get greater. At the time, I don't think we figured out, one, there was definitely no agreement or no desire to get rid of the splash pad, so the cost to remove it was never looked into. But I bring it up again because every year, I don't know if anybody else, but I receive complaints and I see them on Facebook about out-of-towners, food, all manner of complaints from the splash pad. So I bring it up not necessarily for a discussion, but just to put that into mind. Yes, Mr. Ruggiero?
Yeah, I'm looking at the season membership, and I notice it says $50 per child for residents, 75 for non-resident.
Per child.
And it said, yeah, per child, right. And the fees should remain reasonable and not discourage public use. As a young family with 2.1 children on average, $100 is a lot of money. So I would just ask that you take a look at that for residents. If we need to charge a fee, somewhere about $15 a child for residents for the season. And non-residents, 75.
You can't be more than double.
Okay, all right, so 25 and 50.
Are we
And
allowed
again,
to charge?
we've kind of looked at what's going to encourage people to either get a membership or go on a daily basis. So, you know, it's being the first time, it's hard to gauge if more
Yeah.
people would do it.
Are we allowed to only charge out-of-town residents?
No.
No.
No,
Okay.
and that's because it's Green
Why
Acres.
why don't we start conservatively, right? With a lower number and see what kind of, you know, this way we can monitor it for the first year and see how many people are actually coming from town, from out of town.
Could do that.
Yeah, I think almost any fee is going to end up discouraging,
Yeah,
I would assume, especially out-of-towners.
So out-of-towners will most likely pay the daily rate, because they're not going to come to town hall.
Right.
You know,
Charge a higher daily rate.
correct.
how is it going to be, who's gonna check the address? Driver's license to see where they
Yep,
live?
we'll have a
Are we gonna
process.
have somebody there to do that?
Correct, they'll be able to take payment at the gate for walk-ins.
Is this something that we could eventually put into the Mount Olive app where we have like a fast pass?
Yes, they have it in there.
They have Community Pass now, it would just have to be one of the, yeah, we'd have to just rearrange the icons on the app.
It says they have to do it that way.
Is that the same for the daily admission as far as not being, no more than double?
Correct, any fee. So then if we drop the residents to 15, then the non-residents would have to be 30.
I mean, personally, I know if I was paying for a splash pad, I would be more inclined to take care of it, not throw garbage and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Generally, when something's for free.
I would tend to agree with you.
Do we have a litter fee?
Senior,
That's the real money
for
maker.
seniors.
I'm gonna pass an ordinance on that.
Oops, missed the garbage.
There is a litter fee. Next is a small one in the finance, I just included it. The statute does allow the finance department or the tax division to bill for duplicate tax bill, tax searches, redemption statements, lien holder redemptions. Currently, they just do it for free. It's not a lot of requests, but it is something that we could introduce for a couple $1,000s a year. Fire prevention was another big ticket item. We could potentially increase our revenue by $110,000 by increasing fees for smoke alarm certifications, re-inspections, business registrations, and non-life hazard use permits, if those were increased. Zoning department was a small change. They really just issue the zoning permits for resident and non-resident. Residential zoning permits are $25. They're recommending increasing it to $50. And for commercial zoning applications are $100. The recommendation is to bring that up to $200 and to double the revenue that zoning collects.
Someone who has filled out zoning permits, yeah, I think that fee is due to come up.
It takes time to issue the zoning permits. There's calculations, there's ordinance reviews, there's discussions with professionals in some regards, so, okay. The next one is interesting. It's municipal court. So through this process, I found that there were 1,600 delinquent cases totaling in excess of $1 million in court fines. On the municipal side, that equates to about $400,000 in municipal fines that are outstanding. So there is a mechanism that the court allows to solicit for a collector, a debt collector. They keep a certain percentage of it. I believe it's about 25%. But we could look to go that route and start going after some of the delinquent fines. I'm not sure what success rate we would have, but it is possible, and based on that amount, I think it's worth pursuing. Police department was just a small recommendation.
Andrew, real quick,
Yes.
I'm sorry to go backwards just a second. If I remember right, during the budget discussion, the courts changed the procedure that they can take payment instead of letting it go to debt. So this might be something we can resolve, and then the new procedure is an avoidance of what's
Correct.
happening. Okay.
Good point. Police department was just a small recommendation to implement a burglar alarm registration for businesses. In the last 5 years, they responded to 1,900 burglar alarm calls. I'm assuming most of them were false alarms. And obviously that requires a significant amount of resources and calling and checking up. So we think that there's probably about 100 alarms that can be registered. And, that could be another small, not only just an additional fee, but it's a good opportunity for the police department to make immediate contact. They know where the alarm is. They could call an owner and respond quicker. Building department, throughout the years, we always look at the construction fees for electrical building, just to make sure that we're comparable. Out of the 60 permit categories that we collect, the construction official identified 24 that warrant adjustments based on what the minimum recommendation is by the state. In some cases, we're not even charging the minimum state fee. So it's recommended to bring those up and to, again, drive
Mr. Ruggiero?
more revenue.
I'm sorry, Andrew, I had a question before. Are there any fees for false alarms or?
There are penalties, yes, and we're gonna start to enforce that both on fire prevention and police could both enforce false alarms.
I think, talking with the fire marshal, I think it was, we were up to 2,500 calls or 4,500 calls.
Yes, there are
It's a lot.
certain businesses or complexes that abuse the fire alarm, the false fire alarm ordinance, and the direction's been given in those cases. They have to respond, even if they know it might be false, they have to go.
Right.
So yes, we are starting to enforce those. IT was just a savings that they identified by some duplicate services that is saving the township. So that's my conclusion. I know it's a lot of information, but in total, if we implemented everything the way as written, it could be a one-time revenue of over $1.1 million. We could recur on an annual basis about $360,000 and reduce spending by $48,000. So that 360 represents a tax point in Mount Olive. So that's 1 cent or $32, about $32 on an annual basis to the homeowner.
In general, I do approve of the recommendations because these are pretty much to cover cost.
Correct.
So I'm definitely amenable to that. I would just discourage on taxing residents more with fees for the sake, but there are certain, like, permits. I've gotten an electrical permit. I frankly thought it was a bargain, especially for the amount of time that the inspector has to come out, do his job. You know, I know that's not being covered, so definitely something in that area I would agree.
I would tend to agree with you, Mr. President. I think a lot of the fees are bargain, to be quite frankly. But I would definitely dissuade any large fees for membership for the.
So I do feel bad for Mr.
Pirates.
Lowry. He's about to get a deer fence permit, and the price just went up.
So we'd have to draft ordinances for each of these, where we could have more discussion and, you know, there'll be public input. But if the direction is to move forward with what was recommended with the recommendation on the splash pad, then we could start to work on those.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions, comments? All right. Surprisingly, we are now on to page 2 of the agenda. Okay, we're on to resolutions. There are 22 resolutions. Does anyone on council have any questions, comments on any of these resolutions? Mr. Ferrante?
Yeah, it just looks like there's a typo on Resolution 220. Mount Olive Baseball and Softball Association, not soccer.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
All right, anyone else? Okay. All right, we have one ordinance for first reading. Does anyone on council have any questions, comments regarding that ordinance? Seeing none, there's 3 ordinances for second reading. Does anyone have any questions on that ordinance? Oh, I see the chief is still present. Thank you very much for staying. On ordinance 16, dash 2026, it is a recommendation. Can you clarify as to what the recommendation is? Oh, wow, you're here late.
I'm sorry?
You're here late.
You said you wanted to talk, so I hung out.
Appreciate that.
Mike Corleone, Chief of Police. So that ordinance, the only thing that we're looking at changing is making the recommendation for 2 years as a lieutenant for minimum eligibility for the chief of police position.
Now, is this a recommendation that comes from the state?
Now, our policies say that you have to have 2 years as a sergeant to be lieutenant, 2 years as a lieutenant to be captain. So this really just is in line with those current requirements, our internal policy requirements.
And if, would we be disadvantaged were a situation where we do a promotion, a captain becomes a chief, and for whatever reason needs to retire within the first year? Do you envision a possibility there where the officer that was promoted to captain has only been in that position for 1 year. Would that prevent him from being chief?
No, the policy, the change, our requested ordinance change is simply for lieutenants. So the minute you're a captain, you're eligible to become chief. So it's simply from the promotion between sergeant to lieutenant, 2 years from the date that you become a lieutenant to be eligible to be chief. So you would still have 2 captains and possibly 3 other lieutenants that are eligible for that chief's position.
So right now, it's more restrictive if you're a lieutenant than to become a captain than it is to become a chief if you're a lieutenant. So we're trying to, got it.
Well, I appreciate the clarification, and I appreciate you staying on to answer that question. Does anyone else have any other questions on this ordinance? All right, thank you so much, Chief, I appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
All right, we're on to old business. Does anyone have any old business? Does anyone have any new business? Okay, we're on to our first public portion of the evening. Does anyone from the public wish to be heard? If so, name and address for the record, unless you're exempt under Daniels Law.
Hey, my name's Kim Freelander. I live at 6 Center Street, and before I dive into it, I do have to offer my 2 cents as a veterinarian of several decades and been dealing with a wide spectrum of animals, and I'm telling you right now, an 8-foot fence will not deter a deer. I just want to tell you that. Do not be surprised when you spend thousands of dollars to put that fence up and it doesn't work. If you want to phrase it as a Cervidae environmental deterrent, that's fine, but don't be surprised when it doesn't work. And the other thing I wanted to bring up is that one thing that veterinarians and animal shelters have known for decades is that placing a fee on the animals that you are adopting is a better assurance that people will treat these animals that they're adopting well. So placing a fee may very well cut down on some of the garbage around the splash pad and the controversy therein. Just wanted to point out something. Again, it's my 2 cents, just observational, but something you might want to think about. So, new business. This has come up before, it's come up several times, and I did a little bit of a look-see into it. As an emergency room veterinarian, having the hard conversation is indeed my job. So let's have a hard conversation. Let's talk about Nazis. Let's talk about fascism, and let's talk about what it is. Now, some people use authoritarianism and fascism interchangeably. That is a lie. Authoritarianism is usually agnostic, and considering that our military just took over 100 religions off their acceptable religions list, I think we can safely table authoritarianism. But fascism, let's talk about it. Initially started in Italy, and then it spread to Germany. Its core features are, and this is over several textbooks because I'm an old-fashioned gal, I actually go to a library and I actually do research. So there's some variety. It's given between authors, but by narrowing it down, you can narrow it down to extreme nationalism, where a leader will make an idealized or even a mythologized version of history, like the idea that a nation is in decline and it needs to be restored. There's also some groups belong more than others. There's hostility towards pluralism, hostility towards diversity. There's hostility towards political opposition. Then there is scapegoating of any type of external enemies, like, say, immigrants or the LGBTQ or trans. So that's very common as well. Glorification of strength, hierarchy, and state. And there's usually sponsored violence. Authoritarianism would be more military focused, whereas fascism is more paramilitary focused. Usually there's a strongman leader who embodies the will of the nation. Usually fascism is a far-right political ideology, and people try to push their agenda by saying, I'm against anything I don't like. I'm against anything that doesn't align completely within my interests. And what these kind of movements do is that it's by taking scapegoating, attacks on pluralism, ultranationalism, and the cult of the strong leader, it does help slowly, incrementally slide us toward a direction which the majority don't want. It doesn't start with uniforms, it doesn't start with parades, it doesn't start with tanks, it starts slow with political breakdown, economic anxiety, people deciding that normal politics isn't working anymore. There's usually fear about the economy, which opens the door for this kind of thing. There's anger about political elites and belief that democracy is working too slow. There's rising distrust. There's normalization of political violence. There's the idea that compromise is weakness. Democracy fails quietly. Doesn't come with a bang. It comes with small incremental changes. And one of the reasons I stand before you today is because of the small incremental changes. Now, for those of you who don't know, I have lived abroad. I've lived in several different countries. I lived in first world countries. I've lived in third world countries. I've seen a lot of very troubling things, and I know this is going to sound weird. I know what it feels like. I know the comments and that people say to each other when you pay your cable bill or change the oil in your car. You can imagine my disappointment when, after years abroad, I returned to the United States and began to hear the quiet murmurs that I've heard in other countries. Right now, it's early. You probably don't even see it because it's so small and it's so slow. But I know it. I know it because I've been caught in it. And I did what I've seen a lot of people do, including people in this room. And I put my head down and I said, if I stay quiet and I stay out of it, it won't affect me. And that's well and good up until the point when you go to the supermarket and all of a sudden you found you're caught up in a crowd and you feel pressure and you're all kind of being herded in the same direction. And then you look up and you're surrounded by people with arms. So you keep your head down and you keep quiet, but that only protects you for so long because at some point it will end up on your doorstep and it will end up affecting you. Now you guys are anticipated like you're letting your experience color your opinion. And my answer would be yes. That is what experience is for. I've seen this before. I've seen it creep in slowly, quietly. And I've tried to be the quiet one and keep my head down. This isn't my country. I'm not going to get involved.
Well, I'm going to exert my authoritative rule and say that your time is up. Thank you. You have another opportunity in the next session.
Sure.
Does anyone else from the public wish to be heard? Step up to the podium, name and address for the record, unless you're exempt under Daniels law.
Will Hunt, 7 Kennedy Drive. I've been coming here for a little more than a year, not every meeting. And I mainly came to learn how the things work. Tonight was probably one of the most informative meetings for me, and to try to understand. And I'm learning, still learning. And when you had the budget meeting across the way at the senior center, that was another, eye-opener. So you have a difficult task at hand, and I applaud you for doing it, the best you can and with your best interests of the community at heart.
They were going to say with the limited skills God gave me.
So, but what I had to question specifically, this has come up in the past though too, is our pavement of roads and that process. So I'm trying to still get a grasp on how we go about that. And shame on me if I don't go on the website and see maybe this information is there. Do we have a plan of what's getting done this year?
Andrew?
Yes, and now we are doing it analytically and not based on employees driving over potholes to determine which roads are done. So the AI software, it's now color coding all the roads that are in the worst condition, and we're tackling the ones that are in dire need, are in the worst rating.
Okay, so has that program started this season yet?
It has, correct.
I just happened to go up to, I don't know what it's called, for the recycling, or compost by the International Trade. It looked like they just paved that road there. No, I don't go that
So certain roads are done through grant programs, which you need a certain criteria to apply for the grant based on truck traffic and condition of the road. So Waterloo Valley Road, which we just completed, along with International, Continental, everything in that area met the qualifications of the grants. So we've been applying for those grants and tackling those aside from our regular annual road resurfacing program.
Okay, well, that's a fair answer,
Okay.
thank you. So now it comes back to me and Kennedy Drive, where we had that water main replacement. And there was a letter sent out that said it would expect it to be completed by the end of February, weather permitting. Now, it was a rough winter, I'll give you all of February, no work. Well, here we are, almost to July, it's not complete. They haven't worked there in 2 weeks, yet the equipment sits there. They have a broom that I would assume is to clean up some of their mess. It's a mess. And then there's a section that's not affected by the water main work, and there are craters there, so that whole street gets neglected because there's water main work going on this end, and they don't even come to fill the potholes on the other end.
So we're aware that the contractor still has material there. He's been put on notice, so I do apologize for that, but we are working on getting that.
And I'm not really, I'm talking to you, I'm not
Yeah.
pointing the
No, that's fine.
finger, and I was like to say, trying to figure out how it works and what we have in our contracts. I'm a commercial roofer, and I've done schoolwork before. If you're not done on, September 1st, they're liquidated damages. I don't, is that language in our road contracts?
Yes, that was a water main contract, not a road contract, but yes, there is language in the bid specifications about timelines, and they didn't meet any of the criteria that would warrant fines or penalties, correct?
Well, then how do we write those contracts? Because if they didn't meet the criteria when they're 4 months late, what kind of criteria do we put in there?
Well, we didn't finish in February. There was obvious weather issues, and it was, so that counts. And
Well, it does, I gave you a whole month. I put just the end of March.
Well, I assume, Andrew, I think you,
there's other
For the
there's
benefit
other
of-
things
yeah.
that pop up. There's unexpected
yeah,
events.
I
They
mean,
start digging.
unfortunately, we have but limited
Yeah.
employees and projects, so.
Well, this was bid out. This was bid out. This was an outside job. You know, unexpected things come up. You're digging in the ground. These are old water meters that some of them we couldn't find. They needed extra work. So.
But you mentioned, Andrew, they've been notified that they need to complete the project.
The project is complete. It's just about
Okay.
now.
Now they need to go finish the job.
They need to go just clean up and get the stuff out, and then the township is coming in later on to pave both the streets where we installed the water mains.
Is there a timeline on the paving
It'll be done this summer.
this summer? Okay.
This is also part of that other project. Everything is kind of connected. This is also connected to us trying to extend the water main to a resident that has
I remember.
a contaminated well. So if it wasn't for that, we would have already probably paved the 2 roads that are remaining.
Right,
But we're not gonna do that until we do this, because then we're gonna hear that as well.
Sure.
So I appreciate everyone's patience, but there's,
No, and that's a logical approach. But now, do we have a road supervisor, like that follows behind the paving contractors? Or even the piping contractors? They dig a trench, they fill it in, I don't know what the spec is, they gotta bring it to level with the grade of the existing. Does anyone go out there and look? Because it's not.
yes, there are engineers, inspectors that go and they're on the job.
And Mr. Hunt, I would encourage that if you do see something that appears to not be within specs, and that, alert the township, alert the administration the exact location so that, and copy us.
Okay, so I'm not privy to the specs, so I didn't know what, if they're
What if
supposed
you
to
have, or even if you have
if they
a
have
question,
a
this doesn't
crown
look
on
right.
it or not. But when they put the gas line in on Sand Shore, it was a similar thing. They excavate, they fill in, and you might remember I talked about riding bicycles, and when you're riding bike, you could see it was always depressed from the start, and then it got paved over, and now 2 years later, that depression comes through. So that's what I'm saying, by not watching what they're really doing, I don't know if they put a bond up for a year or whatever it is, but they're out of there, and we're stuck with a road that's subpar for the next 10 years. When we could have, now back to Kennedy Drive, like I said, right in front of my house, where they put the line into my house in the main. It's certainly depressed.
It's a temporary trench at this point.
Well,
We weren't gonna
you-
pay for,
Now I'm just gonna argue with you a second. You said the job was complete.
right,
Well, that contractor who dug the trench, if it's depressed, and you're saying it's complete, it's not the spec.
it's
You know-
to spec, it's complete.
Yeah,
Engineer signed off on it.
Mr. Hunt,
Well, that's kind of the problem, is the engine, who's watching the engineer?
this is starting to sound a little bit almost like badgering the witness, for lack of a better phrase. I would recommend that you just, make your comments. If you're disagreeing with what the response is from the administration, take it as such and maybe follow up with more detailed response via email.
Okay. So, and who, to address it to Andrew?
Yeah,
Okay.
Mr. Cannon, that way he can look back, because in this kind of, venue, it can, you know, and it might
Go
not be
down that
too
rabbit hole again.
It might not be too conducive to the, you know, the proper responses.
Okay.
All right?
All right, thank you.
No problem, I appreciate it. Does anyone else from the public wish to be heard? Step up to the podium, name and address for the record, unless you're exempt under Daniels law.
My name is Dominica Rowan, and I live at 12 Chickadee Road in Bud Lake.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I was
Sure.
coughing.
Dominica Rowan, I live at 12 Chickadee Road in Bud Lake.
No relation, I assume? Okay.
Roman
Oh, Rowan.
or Rowan?
So the reason that I'm here, it's my first meeting, so I just want to kind of get educated on a few things. One is, what is the criteria for the increase in taxes? So based on the yearly tax increase, what's the criteria that's usually would raise the taxes on homes?
Andrew, you want to?
Only because this year I've got such a large increase.
There's no specific criteria. There are caps with the state regarding how much the levy, which is the amount of taxes, could be increased, and there's also an appropriation, which is the amount of spending that can be increased. The township is within those levy caps, but every budget, as we know, is different depending on the operational needs, the capital needs, what's available and what's called fund balance, and how much ratables we're bringing in. So every year it's reevaluated, and that's how the tax increase is determined. So this year, from your municipal tax bill, on the average assessed home, the increase was about $204 on an annual basis.
Mine's 600, I was just curious as to when, so.
When the estimated bills went out, that included the Board of Education's increase, township, and any of the other tax levies, county, library, open
Who
space.
could I speak to, like on a one-to-one, to kind of go over that with them, so I have a better understanding?
Sure.
Only because my neighbors went up 100, mine went up 600, so I'm just kind of confused about that.
I could handle it for you.
Oh, okay, that'd be great.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
we're
both
there,
of us.
whenever, yeah, we can talk with you,
Okay.
that's fine.
All right, very good, thank
That's
you.
easy.
And I would encourage you to go on the website and maybe
Yeah.
get the little budget presentation. I don't know if you had an opportunity to get that. That'll kind of explain. And am I correct, Anna, do we still send out with the property tax bills, like where does your money go?
That's, for this mailer, we actually put in the mailer for the Go app that we just did. So if you got your bill, that flyer was in there. But the Where Does Your Money Go is available on the website digitally. That was posted.
Okay, just had another question too. When it comes to the winter time and the side roads, is there a certain time that the roads could be cleared by, or is that,
It's storm dependent.
Yeah.
so there's no certain time for that? Only because I'm a nurse and I have to go out to see patients in the morning, and sometimes my road's not
I
cleared
think
for
they know
hours.
about that, there is a list, certain things, when I talked to Tim, if there's certain people that they know, they usually have a list. If it's emergency services and all.
Yeah,
So I think you can quote that somewhere, I'm not sure where it is, but I know there is something I talked to Tim.
It's also going to be dependent on whether you're a primary, secondary,
Right,
or
or-
on a tertiary road. Also
Right.
depending on when the storm is expected to last, what is about to come. There's a lot of times where we'll have residents complain that they haven't salted, and the reason they haven't salted is because the temperature's about to change, and salting it now will actually create an ice hazard. So
we have to
it's,
go out and everything,
Yeah,
so.
I mean,
I'm sorry?
I have to drive out and everything to visit patients, so it doesn't matter what the roads are, but sometimes my road isn't cleared for hours and I have to get out early. That's why I was just wondering.
My wife's a nurse, so I know that too well, and sometimes I get up in the morning and my car is gone. So, But, yes, so, I mean, regarding the taxes, I guess you can speak to them.
Okay, so I would just make an appointment?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, appreciate it. All right, does anyone else from the public wish to be heard? Name and address for the record.
Mike Lowry, 146 Stevens Park Road. I just had a minor, recommendation with regards to the DPW recommendations here with regards to the bulk pickup and the ticket system. I know for me, I tend to work long hours and it's hard to make time to come to town hall, but is there a potential to make the application process digital for the application of the stickers for the selling of the bulk items, which would encourage more utilization that could potentially monetize, further? That would just be one thing worth potentially looking into.
There is in the works,
We're starting
yeah.
the process, right?
Yeah, there is them in the works. They're gonna end up going through the system. They've been working on it for the last month or so. Because that's one of the pet peeves of mine. Everything should be online. We should be able to order because people can't get here. It's hard. We're not open at night, so you gotta try to make the services available. So it will be up. Give it a month or so. I believe a couple of months it'll be ready to go.
Awesome, way ahead of it.
See
Thank you so
that?
much.
You ask for
Appreciate
it, there it is.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Seeing none, close to the public. Can I get a motion to adjourn to the public meetings?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. I hereby open the meeting to the public, public meeting for June 9th, 2026. In accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by sending timely notice to the Daily Record and the West Morris Reporter and posting notice on the bulletin board of the municipal building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey. Additional notice has been posted on the township website and sent to those individuals requesting the same. Roll call, please.
Mr. Aaron?
Here.
Mr. Ferrante?
Here.
Mrs. Leopold?
Here.
Ms. Lalama? Mr. Mania? Mr. Ruggiero?
Yeah.
Mr. Roman?
Here. Okay, we're on to approval of previous minutes. Mr. Ferrante?
Chair, make a motion to move the May 19th, 2026 workshop and public meeting minutes.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Mr. Aaron?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mrs. Leopold?
Abstain?
Mr. Ruggiero?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Abstain. Okay, we're on to correspondence. Correspondence has been previously provided to council via email. Does anyone have any questions, comments on any of the correspondence? Seeing none. Anybody have any questions or comments on the May 26th budget report? May 2026 budget report? Seeing none. Any questions regarding the bond anticipation note report? Seeing none. Okay, we're on to ordinances for public hearing. I open the hearing to the public on ordinance number 14-2026 entitled, "An Ordinance of the Township of Mount Olive, County of Morris, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 356 Taxation of the Township Code to reflect a prior change in the open space and recreation tax." Ms. Leibau.
Thank you. I move for adoption and final passage of ordinance number 14-2026.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Does anyone from the public wish to be heard on this ordinance? Seeing none, close to the public. Any council discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Aaron?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mrs. Leopold?
Yes.
Mr. Ruggiero?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes. Ordinance number 14-2026 is passed on second reading, and I hereby direct the clerk to forward a copy of the same to the mayor and publish a notice of adoption as required by law. Next item on the agenda for public hearing is, sorry, a little distracted. I open the hearing to the public on ordinance number 15-2026 entitled, "An Ordinance of the Township of Mount Olive, County of Morris, State of New Jersey, amending Section 550-45 entitled Fire Lanes of the Township Code to establish uniform fire lane regulations." Mr. Ruggiero.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption and final passage of ordinance number 15-2026.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Not used to these long nights. Does anyone from the public wish to be heard on this ordinance? Seeing none, I close to the public. Any council discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Aaron?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mrs. Leopold?
Yes.
Mr. Ruggiero?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes. Ordinance number 15-2026 is passed on second reading, and I hereby direct the clerk to forward a copy of the same to the mayor and publish the notice of adoption as required by law. I open the hearing to the public on ordinance number 16-2026 entitled, An Ordinance of the Township of Mount Olive, County of Morris, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 68, Police Department of the Township Code to amend Chief of Police minimum qualifications. Mr. Aaron.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption and final passage of ordinance 16-2026. God
Bless you.
bless.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Does anyone from the public wish to be heard? Seeing none, any council discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Aaron?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mrs. Leopold?
Yes.
Mr. Ruggiero?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes. Ordinance number 16-2026 is passed on second reading, and I hereby direct the clerk to forward a copy of the same to the mayor and publish the notice of adoption as required by law. Okay, we have one ordinance for a first reading with a second reading of June 23rd, 2026. The next item on the agenda for first reading is ordinance number 17-2026 entitled, An Ordinance Amending the Salary Ordinance of the Township of Mount Olive entitled Salaries of Certain Non-Union Personnel. Mr. Ruggiero.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that ordinance number 17-2026 be introduced by title and passed on first reading, be scheduled for public hearing, second reading, and consideration of final passage at a meeting to be held on June 23rd, 2026 at 7 p.m. at the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Wood Lake, New Jersey.
Second.
It's been moved in
And be published.
And be published, posted, and made available by the clerk in accordance with the law.
You messed me up, Ms. Leibel.
I'm just trying to rush things along.
I hear you. It's been moved in second. Any council discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Aaron?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mrs. Leopold?
Yes.
Mr. Ruggiero?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes. We're on to consent resolutions. There are 22 consent resolutions. Does anyone wish to move any to non-consent? Seeing none, Mr. Ferrante.
I move resolutions, sorry, 211 through 2020, 211, 2026 through 232, 2026.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Does anyone from the public wish to be heard on any of these resolutions? Seeing none, any council discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Aaron?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mrs. Leopold?
Yes.
Mr. Ruggiero?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes. Okay, we're on to the bill list. Ms. Leibel, would you move the bill list?
Yes, I'd like to move the bill list.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved.
Who seconded? Was it Chuck?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions or comments on the bill list? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Aaron?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mrs. Leopold?
Yes.
Mr. Ruggiero?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes. We're on to administrative reports. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Council President. We had our first farmers market, which is part of the Mayor's Health Wellness Program, on Sunday, which went very well. It's once a month, so you can check out the township website and recreation site for the upcoming events. Mount Olive Area Chamber of Commerce Awards Dinner is on Tuesday, the 16th, at the Chandelier. This year, they're recognizing Brian Colella, owner and operator of BA Colella Heating and Cooling, and Business Person of the Year is John Johnson, owner of Johnson Automotive Group, as the Humanitarian of the Year. Saturday the 13th, we have one of our most popular events, which is the Touch a Truck. There'll be a sensory-friendly hour from 8:30 to 9:30 with no horns, no noise. And then from 9:30 to noon, the horns will be active. And Monster Truck rides plenty of cars and trucks for everyone to see. I want to thank all our sponsors that make all these events possible. Last week, we had a sign dedication to honor Tom Shields, who passed away 15 years ago. Thank his family for his service and our community and all the community for all he contributed. Additionally, we had a women's build at 23 Stonewall Court. We're grateful to our partnership with the Greater Middlesex and Morris Habitat for Humanity. And finally, I just wish all the graduates who are participating and stepping up ceremonies and all the graduations coming up, congratulations to everyone.
Thank you. Andrew?
No other comments tonight.
Appreciate that. We're on to our last old business. Does anyone have any old business? Any new business? Legal matters.
Look, nothing, thank you, Council President.
Okay, we're on to council reports. Mr. Aaron, Board of Education.
I have nothing this evening, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Ferrante, anything on library or recreation?
Library was meeting tonight, and Recreation was canceled last week. The next meeting will be, not be until October.
All right, thank you. Ms. Leba, anything on environmental, lake, or open space?
We're not having an environmental meeting until next month. Same thing with lake issues, it's combined. Open space, we had, hold on one second, I got all my notes here. Okay, we're going, on June 12th, they have the kayak Bud Lake event, and it's evening paddle, and that starts at, I think it was 6 to 8. And then we have the June Rain Barrel Workshop on June 23rd from 6 to 8 at the Senior Center. August 23rd, we have the Bud Lake Bio Blitz. I have no idea what that is, so I'll have to find out. And that's at Beach Parking Lot. And then we have, and that's from 9:30 to 12 to noon. Then we have on September 26th, Art at the Lake, time to be determined. It's gonna be lakefront at Pax Amicus. And November 10th, we have a gallery opening, 6 to 7:30 p.m. at the library. So, a lot of nice events coming up for that. And the senior meeting too.
I guess since Mr. Mania is not present, if you have anything to update us on that, that'd be great.
Okay. Oh, I thought I did that. All right, senior citizen meeting. I will say that we have a new president, Margaret. I don't know how to say her last name. We got a whole new board, and everybody got sworn in today. And because of the shortage in the budget for the seniors, and it can't be added on because there's no money to add to it. So every other Tuesday at the meetings, we would always have pastries, donuts from Dunkin' Donuts, whatever. And they announced today that we're no longer going to be having donuts on Tuesday mornings. So, and it comes to a lot of money because we have generally at the playing for 100, people in attendance. So, anyway, so we're not having a little donut at the meeting anymore.
Bring your own.
Huh?
Bring your own desserts.
Yeah, that's what we said. And then we were saying like well, we didn't have anybody make coffee for a while, and I kept saying, just bring your own coffee for crying out loud. Everybody's got a to-go cup. But, but anyway, so some of the tables, because everybody's numbered, and they said, well, each table can decide what they want to bring and take turns with everyone, so. But that's one of the things that comes to a lot of money that we're trying to make more money that we can do activities with. On Friday, this past week, we went to the River Lady paddle boat down in Tom's River. It was so much fun. We had a great time, and the first time I ever went on anything like that. So anyway, there's a lot of things going on. You just gotta do what you can and keep moving on.
Ms. Leba, I would request that you ask the new incoming president of the senior club to reach out to fellow businesses in town to donate towards the seniors. Feel free to give them my number.
It's funny, I recommended the same thing, and one of the seniors said, oh, but if we do that, then they're not gonna donate in other places. I'm like, why would they wanna donate to us? So that's, so I really wanna start that up and, get it going. I mean, we're seniors.
You're entitled to your donut.
That's it, I'm sold.
Without a doubt.
I mean,
And you can pitch it as that. The seniors need their donuts.
We're seniors.
We came to your
That's right,
store
we're all
for
seniors.
years and years, and let's,
Right here.
so Alex, what are you gonna contribute?
You tell me what that amount is.
Okay, I'll let you know.
All right?
At least,
I gotta cut the donuts in half.
well, we had some out-of-towners would take a couple of donuts, like 5, 6.
It's more than a couple.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, please have her reach out to me. All right, anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, Mr. Lam and Mr. Meany are not present, so we're on to you, Mr. Ruggiero. Anything for planning board?
Thank you, Mr. President. We'll meet this Thursday at June 11th, which I'll have a report after that.
Appreciate it, thank you. Okay, we're on to our last public portion of the evening. Does anyone from the public wish to be heard? Dr. Friedland? Oh,
No, actually, are you giving me the opportunity to say more?
the floor is yours.
I was trying to figure out the two people who are missing, sorry. I apologize for my distraction, but this happened last time too, but I'm ready this time. All right, so we were talking about authoritarianism versus fascism and how it pertains to our community at large. And one thing I wanted to impress upon everybody here, seeing as how I lived it, that it creeps in slowly. It does, it really, really does. It creeps in by the slow normalization of things that were once abnormal are now considered normal. The idea that political violence is okay, that compromise is weakness. The reason fascism happens is that people are responding to pressure and fear and instability. That the current political system is chaotic or moving too slow. People are often respond to a strongman because they say, I'll fix this. I'm going to be the solution. No more wars, no more this, no more that. And you think that by staying quiet is gonna is just gonna help them bypass you, and that's just not the way it works. Over time, little by little, people lose their voice. Now, in the past, I've come in here and I've gone over the Bill of Rights, and the reason I did that is as a reinforcement of what is slowly being eroded. Now, everybody's familiar with the 2A portion of the Bill of Rights. There's so many other things going on there, and each one was made not just by our founders, which was the first 10, but by subsequent wiser people than ourselves who recognized some of the holes that are in our Constitution, that are in our Bill of Rights. And by making an amendment, we fill the holes. That's not always enough, and you can always erode them by eroding, say, the institutions that are in charge of detailing certain parts of them. Right now, we're not at a crisis point. Right now, we're not at the point where you go to the food store and you're worried about being rounded up and kind of force-marched in a certain direction. Right now, it's just a little bit here, it's just a little bit there. And it's easy to kind of like brush it off. And I totally get it. I totally understand that inclination. And for that reason, I bring it to this council's attention yet again. Now is the time to start making resolutions to protect our schools, to protect, say, urgent cares, to protect places of worship. Now's the time to make those protections, say, make them under the wire. And if people in the town question it, say it's for the protection of our children, it's for protection of our township. Now's the time to do that, because there might come a point, which I am concerned about, where this will become front and center. That you'll have somebody standing here in front of you, trying to strong-arm you or trying to strong-arm your residents by staying outside certain facilities. Make these resolutions now before it gets to that point. Before it gets to the point where things have eroded. Before certain political systems have consolidated. Do it now. And you can always brush it off and say, just some extra protections. It'll slide right under the wire. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. So what? Let me be wrong. Please let me be wrong. But what's the harm in it? What's the harm in creating safe zones around certain areas? I would love to be wrong. Let may be wrong. Now's the time to do it, not when you're at the crisis point. And that's why I keep standing up here a couple times a month, whenever I can make it, whenever my schedule permits. Now's the time to do it. Make the resolutions now, before we come to a point where it becomes big and becomes obvious. There's 3 directions this town can go in. We can either roll over and play dead, we can hold the line, or we can push forward. Now, I know that the council in this town is majority Republican, so I don't expect you to push back. But if you can even manage to hold the line, even that would provide some protection for the people in this town. Please take it from someone who had a front row seat to it. Please do not roll over. Please do not ignore this. Please pay attention. The signs are there. Small, incremental change. Silence is complicity.
Thank you very much. Okay, anyone else from the public wish to be heard? Seeing none, close to the public. We're on to council comments. Mr. Ferranti.
Nothing tonight.
Okay, Ms. Laybow.
Hold on, I have a 3-page essay to read.
Now, that's my job. Mr. Ruggiero.
I just want to go ahead and once again congratulate Police Officer Cuff on his retirement as well as his recognition of 20 years, as well as our employees, and congratulations to the 4 new officers. Good luck and prayers as they serve and protect the citizens of Mount Olive.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Aaron.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also echo those recognition moments. I think it's important, and I think with Andrew coming in, the fact that you've started recognizing employees for length of service, you don't get a lot of companies that do that, let alone municipalities that realize the important part about our town are those people that work for us. And I think it's really nice that we continue that. Those that can attend, celebrate with us, and if not, we'll celebrate them while they're not here. I want to point out, I'd be remiss if I didn't agree with something you said. I think normalization is dangerous. I think over the past 12 years, we've seen so much normalization. In our country, we've normalized that laws don't matter. You get to pick and choose which ones you want to enforce. We can't normalize that. We can't normalize police aren't needed, police aren't necessary, or that police are bad. That's become normalized, and that's dangerous. We've normalized that our borders are open. We've normalized that citizenship is equivalent to somebody who happens to be in our country and has overstayed their stay. That's become normal, and that can't stay. We've normalized lawlessness as an acceptable way of showing our disagreement. And I think these are all bad normalizations that have come to be. I hope that as a country we can come together, go back to normalization where our Bill of Rights matters and our voice matters, and that we can protect our citizens in such a great way. But we're normalizing the wrong things, and it's been going on for far too long.
Thank you very much, Mr. Aaron. I agree with you wholeheartedly. We have allowed the heckler's veto to go on for much too long. I remember a day where you could be, your opinion could be hated. Now we're living in a time that you are being hated for having an opinion that is disliked. And with that, I ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Ralph.
Feel so out of practice. This is long. Normally, we're out of here in 2 minutes.
First, I